Hey TMFG community, John Yonge here with Carlo Cancino. In today's episode of Ask TMFG, we're going to be discussing the debt ceiling. What is it, and really, should you care about it? Remember, if you do enjoy our content, like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channels. We love doing these videos for you. In today's episode of Ask TMFG, we're going to be discussing the debt ceiling. It's become a pretty hot topic, I think, with a lot of our client base, just because it's been discussed pretty frequently in the news. So today we're going to discuss, what is it, and really should you be caring about it? So why don't we get started with what is it, Carlo?
Thanks, John. Yep, it's in the news. It's on the headlines. It's everywhere.
Yep.
So what is the debt ceiling? Simply put, it's a restriction imposed by the U.S. Congress on the amount of debt that the federal government can have. And they have to have a ceiling. They have to have a cap.
Yep.
Otherwise, they would just continue to borrow. Interest obligations would get out of control, and they wouldn't be able to continue to make future investments, spend on programs and such. But they're getting dangerously close to that ceiling. And now decisions have to be made in order to either raise the ceiling or allow the U.S. government to default on their debt, which is something that they don't want to do.
Yeah, and something that they typically don't do, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that, the news articles don't really put into perspective, but this has been happening. Really, since 1960, there's been 78 distinct negotiations to raise the debt ceiling. That's kind of just the way government debt works. It tends to just get larger and larger. Unfortunately, it's not usually getting any smaller when it comes to government debt. So put that into perspective when having these discussions. This isn't something that is brand new or out of the ordinary. This has happened 78 times since 1960.
You know what else has happened since 1960?
What's that?
The market's gone up.
Markets continue to go up. Mm-hmm. So usually when we have that question of, should we be worrying about this? Well, there you have it. I mean, this has happened before and the portfolio still performs well.
Long-term investors need not worry about this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Political events will continue to happen that will impact the markets. Economic issues such as the debt ceiling will happen. Wars, pandemics, market still continues to go up. It's volatile, but I think we've talked enough in the past that the statistics show the market goes up more than it goes down. And we can guarantee that there will be volatility, but also what we've seen is that the market continues to grow.
Yeah. So what this has now become, the debt ceiling, has become more of obviously a political issue, right? So now we have the Democrats and the Republicans negotiating with each other to raise that debt ceiling. And that means some things are going to have to get cut. So now it's become, where is the budget spending going to go on the U.S. side? And there's a couple things that they have already agreed to. First one being energy reform. They want to have new, solutions for energy, both on the green side with primarily wind turbines, and then on more the fossil fuel side. And obviously we know that Republicans and Democrats have their opinions on which one they prefer between green energy or fossil fuels. The second thing is rescinding some of that COVID spending that had gone from 2020 through to 2022. There's still an outstanding amount of money that now we're probably going to no longer be distributing to businesses or people, and instead be using it for other uses. There are still three issues that they do continue to negotiate on, leading up to, the deadline now on June 5th. So, Carlo? Right?
Yeah, sure. The 3 points that are still outstanding revolve around Medicaid. There are new work requirements for Medicaid. Have to be working if you're able-bodied, no children in order to be eligible to get Medicaid. The second point that's still being negotiated has to do with food stamps. There are work requirements around it in order to be eligible for that program. Mm-hmm. And number 3, amendments to the 2024 budget. And so they have to look at the budget and make those accommodations in order to go through the debt ceiling. And again, why is that important? Because if the debt ceiling is raised, that means more debt is going to be put on the books. That means interest obligations will increase. Where are they going to get that money from? They have to cut some programs, find money from elsewhere to be able to afford it.
Yeah, and the point that we addressed earlier, should you care about this? And I don't want to say that you shouldn't care about it. It's good to be informed of what's going on. But when we take a look back in our history, we want to use 1960 as a point of reference. 78 times they've addressed the debt ceiling. Markets still continue to go up. Portfolios still continue to perform. Our big proponent is diversification. We don't want you to only be invested in the U.S. We want you to invest in Canada and international markets and all over the world. So that really helps mitigate risk because you're no longer worried about the U.S. debt ceiling. You're kind of worried about the global outlook of the economy. Second part of that is, what's your time horizon? What are you investing for? Are you investing for long-term goals? Are we looking to retire? Are you looking to have this money, achieve certain goals for you? Or are you day trading and worried about what the stock's going to do on June 6th after they come to an agreement or don't? So that really helps put things into perspective. We're on the planning side. We're not trying to day trade on a day-to-day basis. We're trying to get you to achieve your goals in the long run.
Hopefully that gives you a little bit more information about what the debt ceiling is and why we continue to provide advice on why you should stay invested and why we're not speculating on what's going to happen in the market after the debt ceiling either goes up or remains consistent. Mm-hmm. But that's another episode of Ask TMFG. Leave us a comment. Are there other videos that you want to see? I know this is very topical, but are there other topics that you would like for us to do a video on? But until next time, I'm Carlo Cancino.
I'm John Iaconetti.
And this has been Ask TMFG.